Hey, Peter Buswell here with drvoip.com with an update on the UCCX killer script. We've updated it for 2019, so we're a little ahead of the calendar here, but there's some new features in the script that we wanted to make you aware of. So who's going to use this script? The script was written primarily because if you're implementing call centers as often as we do, there's a certain set of assumptions and best practices used by call center folks that we just get tired of recoding all the time. So we've more or less productized it into a series of scripts and documents that work together to help you quickly deploy a contact center. If you are a contact center VoIP engineer and are great at installing and setting stuff up, but maybe you're not a software engineer or a Java programmer, or you're just new to the whole UCCX scripting, this solution will get you up and running very quickly. And it is designed to be the killer script, hopefully one that will last you for a long, long time. It has many configuration options, and it's sophisticated yet easy to administer. It makes heavy, heavy use of XML files. This is not a tutorial on XML. You don't need to know XML to make use of the script. If you want to know more about XML, see the other videos in this set. We've done a few on the subject of using XML files in UCCX. But the script is mainly a rapid deployment solution. You can load up this script and configure it to meet your call center's needs very quickly, and be assured that it's been well tested, and you should have just the normal debugging associated with making the script fit your particular requirements, and I'll show you how to get there. So it's a single script. This is very important. You have one trigger that the script is associated with, and then actually the same script is launched by multiple triggers to that script. So each trigger equals something we call string DNIS, and the entire project is configured based on the DNIS, the dialed number the caller entered to reach the script. And we grab that DNIS number and we use it to index a file called Q options, which I'll detail here shortly. So we're able to support multiple CSQs. We're able to support multiple route types. Sometimes you have a caller come in, they go directly to the call center. Sometimes they come in and they have to listen to some menu options first. And sometimes they come in and need to be shuttled off to an IVR. So we allow these different route types, and I'll show you how that's configured. We have options for estimated wait time, for your position in queue, and the ability to have the caller select an option to be called back without losing their position in queue. We have an entirely professional recorded prompt library, and we also have a piece here called Contact Center Admin, which enables a authorized supervisor to call a script, enter the queue number, close the queue for, let's say, a team meeting, record a new closed greeting. Hi, thanks for calling. We're in a team meeting. We'll be back open in an hour. And then they can call back in and reopen the queue. This, any call center administrator that's had to deal with the supervisors running down the hallway to find you so they can close their queue will find this very, very useful. So the killer script's available on the Dr. VoIP website for a modest donation. less money than you would spend since you're billing your clients $300 an hour. This should be a no-brainer. Let me walk you through the pieces that are included in this. The main script is actually, I think we now call it root script version 1. So this is the root script. There is CC admin, which is a separate script, but is called upon to open and close the queues as we've recently outlined to you. Estimated wait time subflow, get settings, set settings are used by CC admin. The holiday check, a script, this is a classic in the Cisco community. We offer you the opportunity to use that, or we have an embedded holiday strategy that I like better than the holiday script external list of holiday closures, because the way we do it enables you to address half days, and that's typically very important. Next, you have the different supporting scripts for callback. There's 2 of them here. Use sessions for queue callback or supporting queue callback. I would prefer you use the sessions for queue callback, because rather than having a different supporting queue callback for each different CSQ, we now, in this version, pass a variable between the main script and the use session for callback queue. That's basically a piece of code that holds the caller's place in queue when they exercise a callback. We have a complete prompt library, professionally recorded prompts. I've also left Karen's email address in there, as she is the person who's done these recordings. And if you want to modify them or make some additional recordings and have them consistent with the rest of the prompts, give Karen, send her an email and she'll get it done for you. The 2017 holiday list is just an example of an XML file containing holidays that is used if you choose to use the external holiday list. And the other ones here, SBox stuff, typically when we're doing a call center, we set up a trigger for Sandbox, and that's where we run our test scripts. So this script is running on Sandbox, and I've given you samples of SBox schedule, SBox queue status that you can copy and make available for your other CSQs. It's a good model, and you'll understand that shortly. And the entire prompt library is down here in this folder called generic zip. So this is all of the materials that are contained in the killer's script that you can get at the Dr. VoIP website. Installation. So you're going to set up a Sandbox application and trigger. Most of you would do that anyway, but in this case, call it Sandbox, and it'll enable you to use the test XML files in here just to make sure everything's working before you start copying and editing them to meet your requirements. The edit queue options is set up with a sample for the Sandbox. I'll show you that in a moment. Get this working first, and then add your triggers for your other CSQs. So then you're going to want to upload the documents. These documents have to be in the document repository on the UCCX server, or the script will not run. In fact, it'll crash. And typically we find out that you forgot to put in the required subflows, and you forgot to put in the XML files that your script calls on. Upload your prompts. These are generic prompts. They're done in English. If you want Spanish or some other language, you're going to have to do that separately. Load up your scripts. Load the 2019 root script version 1. And then the CC admin script and the callback support AEF, you'll have to make a Boolean decision about which one you want to use, and make sure you've got your get settings and set settings loaded. The key concepts here in the script are something called string app prefix. So we have these different queues, tech support, marketing, sales, customer service. And what we do is we give each one of them, or 3 or 4 letter prefix in the queue options XML file, and this is how we find them. It becomes the XPath ID attribute in the file that we look up and pull back all of the parameters associated with that particular CSQ. And this is how we're able to use one script and reconfigure it for each of the different CSQs you might have. So you're going to want to deal with making sure you have your app prefixes set up. You want to make sure that queue options is loaded and reflects correctly the app prefixes. And you also want to pick your route type. So route type is, in this particular CSQ for tech support, we want them to go direct to the call center. In this customer service CSQ, we actually need them to hear a menu of choices or go to an IVR before we send them to the call center. So you'll select your route type. There are environmental parameters that need to be set up. The script will write to the document depository in the contact center, and therefore it needs admin permissions to do that. And you'll see in the parameters of the script, you'll see a place where you set the authorized user and the authorized user password. Don't forget to put them in there, because in the callback application, you have the option of having a recording made by the caller that is played to the agent before the caller has his call returned. And you can turn that on or off, but if it's on and you want to record, you're going to need to be able to put that recording in the UCCX repository, and the application script will need permissions to do that. We have some parameters like use external holiday check. As I said before, the script supports 2 versions of this. One, the check external holiday. If that's true, that means you're going to use an XML file named and put in the parameters of your script, and this will list your holidays. As I said, if this is false, we go to a second strategy, which I like better because it enables you to deal with half days. So we'll take a look at that when you open the script. Boo close for business is just a checkbox at the application level at runtime, which enables you to do things like emergency closures. Otherwise, you can just do the UCCX admin to open and close a particular queue. But if you want to close the whole call center, check that box. Record message for callback, as I've already said. When someone selects callback, we have the option of prompting them to make a recording that will be played to the agent before their call is returned. Sometimes this is useful, sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but this parameter here, you can set boo for true or false, and depending on whether that value is true, means yes, I want to record a message to be played to the agent before the call is returned, or no, I don't want to do that. As you look through the script, you'll see parameters that need to be set or that can be changed. There's a lot of integer values, for example, menu wait times and things of that ilk. You'll want to go through the parameters and verify them. There are some pointers, for example, when we need to transfer the caller to voicemail, we need your UCCX's voicemail pilot number. When we place an outbound call, we need to know how you do that. Is it dial 9-1 or is it dial 8-1 or whatever? And then there's various variables that are set for the callback function. So the queue options file itself looks pretty much like this, where you've got queue options. You've got the queue, which has an ID of a trigger number. So when trigger 1250 launches the script, It runs off to this file and it reads all these values and loads them into memory. For example, the name of the CSQ, the app prefix, where the prompts are stored. We enable you to create a custom layout for each CSQ. You'll find it is typically prefaced by the string app prefix. Are we going to use a schedule, an external schedule, or embedded in the script? What's your voicemail box? Should we set play estimated wait time? You might want to play that. Play position in queue, maybe you don't want to play that, so that's false. Do we offer the callback option, true or false? Do we want to play a mandatory prompt to callers when they get in the call center? And where are the prompts? Basically, these load the individual prompts that you need for your particular CSQ. So we call them queue message 1, queue message 2, and so forth. And these are all previously recorded and in the generic prompt file that we provide you with this killer script toolbox. So this is an example of the queue options XML, and you can add to this list or subtract to it however you want, but this is generally the parameters that would change on a CSQ basis. The runtime sequence, basically when you set go, it's going to set up the environment based on those Boolean values. Then it will set up your different triggers. So each CSQ in your deployment is going to have its own trigger to this script, and that trigger will set the string DNIS, and that, as you have learned, indexes the queue options XML file to bring back the options to configure this script to meet the exact needs of your specific CSQ established in the queue options XML file. Mouthful of words here, but I think you get it. We have a debug, so when you're running this on your sandbox trigger, every time you call it, you're using the same trigger. So how do I test my other script? So when you put it into the debug mode, it will prompt you to put in, the prompt says put in your PIN number, but what it's looking for is a 4-digit extension number of the trigger that you want to use when you're testing. This enables you to keep the script on your sandbox trigger, yet check its operation on the other triggers that you're going to add when you load the script for go live. The next thing we do is check the CC admin option, check for holidays, check the open schedule. So there's an external XML file that has the open and close days for each CSQ. And again, we find that through the string app prefix. So sbox underscore schedule, or, you know, whatever your string app prefix is going to be, it'll go look for that schedule. We check languages. We check whether you want to offer the option to change your language. We check the route type, find out if it's a direct menu, IVR, or you're in the debug mode. We enter the call center. We know what CSQ to go to because we pulled that out of the queue options based on the string DNIS. And we're able to create different layouts. So if you want to push stuff out to your agents based on which CSQ they're in, you can use this to set up layouts, which you'll pass back to the server. And the next thing we do is check for agents logged in. The last thing we want to do is send a caller to a queue that has no agents in it. That's always fun. And then last thing, we check to see, do you want to play estimated wait time? Do you want to play position in queue? And do you want to offer callback? So it's a very robust, fairly complete killer script with all of the pieces available for you to either use or use as a template as you modify it to meet the needs of your specific call center. I hope you have found this informative. You can find the script, as I say, for a modest donation on the website, drvoip.com. The best way to get in touch with us is send us a text, 929-292-8100. And it's a great example of a text-based IVR system, and it's a useful way to communicate with us. I hope you have found this informative. I thank you for viewing.